My theme has already been ported to 4Coder. Why do people think there is an Emacs theme? I literally set 4 colors and a font. That's like that's not any work. Is the idea of one language covering both low and high level programming realistic? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. We will begin shortly. Is C++ trying to achieve both low and high level programming? Yes, to hear them tell it, that's what they're trying to do. Or at least that's what Strostrup always said in like the 90s. Other examples, I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. What do I think Vulkan devs should focus on? They should focus on making the simplest system possible that lets you quickly and effectively render 3D graphics well and without a lot of bullshit. And that's not what they're doing. So, yeah. Have I considered allowing the character dash in variable names? Then how do you type X minus Y in your program? In order to fix operating systems, should we focus on making the best possible version of Linux, or should someone just start from scratch? I personally, my style would be to start from scratch. You also could clearly start from Linux and go somewhere different. For example, that's what Android did. However, the things that I would change are pretty foundational. I don't like all the Unix command line stuff. Like this idea that you should have a zillion programs that are like commands that things run. I don't think that's a good model. Not for now. It was probably good in the 1970s, right? So all that part of Linux is bad. The way the kernel organizes programs, I don't think is right. I think it's clear in the modern day that you want much more encapsulation around individual programs, both for purposes of security and for deployment, right? Like all this containerization that people do for server stuff now, they do because just lower levels of the operating system are whack, and they have to fight that. If lower levels of the operating system were not whack, they wouldn't need to do it. And the fact that like there's this model of pipes for interprocess communication, which is not very good. I think shared memory is a much better model, and so forth. So like I would change everything, really. It's my style. And like, I think Casey had a video somewhere about, where he discussed the fact that drivers are the fundamental problem in home computing today, and I agree with that. Driver problems are 99.9% of all bugs. And so if you just say, look, there aren't drivers in this operating system for almost all peripherals, maybe GPUs are the exception. But like, look, there's not drivers. There's just a protocol that you use to talk to things. Maybe like Plan 9 did, but maybe you have a better protocol. I think that's the right way to do things. So yeah, I would strip it down and start over. How do you support Unicode in Engine? Everything is UTF-8. It's very easy. Isn't the issue with operating systems the colossal amount of work needed? Forking Linux is so much easier. It's not that much work because almost everything in Linux I don't want. So like almost all the stuff that all these open source people spend their time doing is a waste of time as well. It's just like, they don't ever go and clean up foundational messes. So everything is like 10 times as big as it should be. And bloated, I don't know. Yeah. You need, when it comes to large and complex systems, you need to have complexity hygiene, and that's something that open source has not done a very good job of. And because of that, it's so hard to develop over there. What do I write documents in? Emacs. Command line tools aren't basic. Yeah, they are. What are you talking about? Or maybe you're, I don't know. Just, I'm not going to respond to context-free comments like that. How do you handle platform independence? I think Casey thought of it like the platform layer being a client to the game that implements functions, but then not expose data structures in the platform. You have to be more specific about what you're asking. Do you mean how do I do that in a game, or is this more of the operating system question? Platform independence in a game is not that hard. I don't think of it, it's not that hard. I don't think of it as a specific layer. You just have an interface routine that you call in order to do stuff that's operating system specific. You have one of those per thing that you need to do. They're very easy to make because they're customized to exactly what your game wants. It's not a problem. Could you quickly go over what happened with the Witness AMD audio bug? Should I be buying Intel? I don't think we ever really understood what that was. There was some combination of instructions that was tremendously slower on AMD than Intel, and we just kind of juggled that routine a little bit until AMD chips stopped having a problem with it. I don't think we ever zoomed in to the exact issue. Someone's linking this Casey video. I wasn't thinking of the 30 million line problem video. I was thinking of something else, but that's a good video also. You use containers because you can just deploy your damn app, whatever it may be, to one of your servers without having to worry about what the sysadmin team has tweaked on the server. Right, but why is that necessary? Why can't you just do that? Why can't you just run your software somewhere and expect it to work? Why have we developed a culture where you can't just run your program and expect it to work? How stupid is that? You know what I'm saying? Have I ever done networking for games? Yes, I have. What would the user model look like? I don't know. I haven't thought about it. When developing a lot of related levels for this sort of game or The Witness, did you find a big task was a particular ordering of a set of levels, or do you develop tooling specifically? So for this game, we're developing levels. We're in the phase in this game right now where we're just making levels randomly based on whatever ideas we have. And then later we're going to go back and organize them into structures that make sense to players. And then at that point, we maybe elaborate like, oh, this level's cool, but if you're coming to it without understanding this particular interaction very well, you haven't had a good introduction to it. So let's add one or two more levels that introduce that idea, right? And oh, after this level, we can do this other thing that does a different thing with the same idea, right? There's different stages in game development about what kinds of things you do. And when it comes to level design, we're in the earlier stages right now because so far development on this game has been about building the engine and figuring out the visual style and all that stuff and developing the programming language. Will we support tagged arguments like Swift? We already do. That we demoed that like years ago. Will I be making my own laptop or my own OS first? I don't know. Laptop seems like an easier problem, but it also costs a lot of money that I don't necessarily have right now. So, and you could partner with someone like Dell to fund the laptop, but then they'll mess it up. So I don't know. I don't know, man. You run stuff in VM containers because you want extra security and scaling, not just OS compatibility. Why do containers give you extra security, and why do you need that? Why don't you just have security to start with? This is what I'm saying, is containers are just bullshit to make up for the fact that people screwed up. Just fix the screw-ups, and you won't have to have the bullshit. And for scaling, like, that's not a real answer, because scaling also requires communication, right? The copying the program to multiple machines part of scaling should just work, right? The other part of scaling is coordinating the answers or doling out the questions, which has nothing to do with containerization, actually. Will I ever do a multiplayer-based game? I did in the 90s. Come on. The platform independence question was aimed at a game, but I asked because I was writing a library right now. It'd be nice for the user to manage his own memory, which would mean returning by value instead of passing opaque pointers, but then they have to include the platform-specific stuff, which pollutes their namespaces. Okay, so if I'm making an API that is platform independent, you don't ever want, well, I wouldn't say not ever, but in general, you don't want to pass operating-specific, system-specific data structures. So for example, if there's a window argument that you need to pass to a lot of procedures, don't make it hwind on Windows and then Windows star on X Windows on Linux or whatever, right? Make a type def to some name that everybody can use, first of all, and then possibly even like cast it in a nasty way, like cast between hwind and pointer to your own struct or something. As for returning by value, so you're saying the struct, I see, you're saying the struct has members that are Windows specific. And they need to include Windows dot whatever in order to return the thing. There are ways around that. They're just kind of ugly. I mean, I would try to design your system so you don't need to do that. Like, I don't quite understand why the user managing his own memory means you have to return things by value as opposed to writing them into out parameters. Like, why can't you write the structure into a pointer that they pass you? So go on and have a super puzzle script mode that lets you build puzzles. I don't know. Probably with the initial release, we won't have puzzle editing just because there's so much work to do, but we might do more than one version of this game. I don't know. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of ideas we can play with. You need extra security because all software has holes like Heartbleed and stuff. I don't think you understand what I'm saying, right? I'm saying the fundamental security model of your underlying operating system is broken. And we agree on that, right? Because you're saying you need more security. What I'm saying is, if the security model were different, you wouldn't have these problems in the first place, right? Like, who cares if your software has Heartbleed if when somebody gets a remote execution, they can't do anything with it? Then who cares? I mean, it's obviously still a little bit annoying because you can take down that process, but so what? I didn't get to catch what format you were making save files in. They're just files with bytes in them. They're binary files because loading binary is fast. Sharing memory between programs, isn't that a security problem? Not if it's read-only for the person you're sharing it with, no. And I mean, not obviously if your entire memory is shared with another program, that's a security problem, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, hey, operating system, here's a specific buffer that anyone who wants can see or that this other process can see. Oh yeah, Evo is streaming today. Yeah, most programmers out in the world are beginning programmers. So if you're an experienced programmer, it is very hard to find people to pay attention. Well, experience isn't the right thing. If you're experienced and your experience isn't bullshit, because you can certainly be experienced with like just 20 years of messing around in a bad way with bad web software, and then you're probably still not good at the end of that. But if you work hard at being good, then after a while, it's clear that there are not that many people in the world that you could learn from. And then the way that you learn has to change, right? In the beginning, when you're new, you can learn from lots of people. And actually that changes gradually over time, right? The more experienced you get, the smaller and smaller is the proportion of people that you can effectively learn from. We'll explain what we're creating in a minute or two when we start the actual thing. How would I approach a system designed for 2D animations? Depends. You got to get more specific about what you want to do. Which keyboards do I suggest? I don't know. I use a Razer Chroma Tournament Edition. But that's not necessarily a recommendation. He didn't think of the user allocating the space and the library filling it. Thanks, although he would have to know the size. Yeah, I mean, so what you can do, here's a thing that you could do, right? So you could have something like struct my Windows struct that has like Windows specific stuff, right? Like a bunch of things that are just defined in windows.h, right? And then you can say struct user-facing struct, not facting, right? And this maybe has some general things that are common to all of your and then down here, okay, so normally you would do this. You would say my Windows struct, like, So this isn't actually what I'm suggesting yet, right? But if you did this, so this is sort of what you're saying, right? Basically. But you can turn that around to the following. You could say just care so I'm forgetting my C syntax because I go back and forth between languages. OS specific, right? So you could do that, or and then you say OS specific struct size must be max, size of my Windows struct, size of my Linux struct, right? So, and then there's probably not a really good way to do that automatically because, again, the point is to not have to include headers. But you could generate that at compile time, or you can assert on it in your own code. Like, to make sure it doesn't go out of date, in your own code, you could say assert OS specific struct size is greater than or equal to size of my Windows struct, right? You can put that in your Windows specific code and a similar thing in your Linux specific code, and then you'll at least get a runtime error if you ever mess this up, right? And then you can have a thing that says define get Windows struct of S, right? S is a user-facing struct pointer, right? So say someone passes that pointer into your thing, you can say define get Windows struct of S as my Windows struct arrow address of S arrow OS specific struct of 0. Maybe you don't need the 0. Maybe you can say SOS specific. I don't know exactly. It depends on whatever. But the point is you get the first byte of this padded thing, and you do this conversion internally. And by doing that, you can make it so that nobody has to include the OS specific file as long as they never need to see the Windows members. It's a little bit messy for you, but it's a lot cleaner for the user because their compile time doesn't have to turn into a bunch of garbage, right? Do I mind saying how materials work? I actually don't know how materials work in the new engine yet because Ignacio's working on that right now. And he's doing something new, so I don't know. I am, however, spilling tea all over the place. It's just moving stuff around the screen by different motions. I thought about making a curve-based mover relative to another animation space that is a subspace of the global space. Sure, if that's what you want to do, makes sense to me. In a deferred render pipeline, should the environment capture be a forward or also deferred render call? I can't really answer questions about deferred rendering because I've never seriously done deferred rendering. I just don't like it. It's not the way that I prefer to do things. And, modern rendering systems are moving away from deferred rendering. They've sort of switched to forward plus, right? Have I ever thought about making a Zachtronic style game? I have sometimes, yes. Not too seriously. How often do I struggle to implement something, like when I don't know how to do an algorithm? Well, usually I don't, but once in a while, if I'm going into an area that I'm not familiar with, then I do. So one thing that I was trying to figure out lately, like not for this game, requires more statistics than I know. So I'm trying to learn statistics again, and that's hard. I mean, it's not hard, but it's like, it requires me to turn on parts of my brain about learning new math that I haven't done in a while. So it's good exercise to do that, but man, when you haven't done it in a while, it's rough. And then, I was reading this paper that someone sent about fast printing of floating point numbers, and it seems like it's a good algorithm. But upon reading that, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Even though this is better than all the previous algorithms, it seems to me like there should be a better way to do it. So I've just been playing around with a notepad with the math of like what it means to convert int to float and all that. And that's a learning kind of a thing where you're just trying to juggle concepts around in your head so that they work better in your head or more smoothly. Yeah. Someone's saying union of the various OS structs. You can't declare a union of the various OS structs without including the header files for every OS, which isn't going to work. Have I heard of the Godot game engine? Yes, I have heard of it. I don't know anything about it. I can't give you any comment. Right, so in C++11, you could use a static assert and get a compile time check here instead of a runtime check. That is true. Apple deprecated OpenGL on Mac. What do I think about that? I think it's great. OpenGL is a garbage. Is there anything in computing that I have not personally built that I do like? There's plenty of stuff from the 1970s and before that's good. It's like the 1980s is when everything started getting bad. Did I get my Exapunk zine? When I checked my mail yesterday, I didn't have it yet. So I don't know. Maybe I put the wrong address, or maybe it's taking longer to get to me. I don't know. Why is OpenGL garbage? Serious question. Because it's really old and inappropriate for modern rendering, but all these crufts are built into it, and you have to deal with all those every time you try to make a program now. It's implemented differently depending on what computer you're trying to run it on. So like all these drivers individually re-implement OpenGL. And that means they all report errors differently. They all have different behaviors to different weird stuff. There's not a good debugger for it, etc. Right? The reason I'm saying OpenGL is a giant garbage is because like it's fine to want an easy rendering API like GL so you don't have to do something different on every operating system like Metal or, the PlayStation's computer graphics API or DirectX 12 or whatever. That's a totally reasonable thing to want. But you want that at user level so that you have choice about what your API is, and you can see the source code when you're trying to debug what the fuck it's doing with your inputs and why it's crashing and all that. None of which you can do with OpenGL, right? So if you just had an open source library that front-ended to those APIs on different operating systems, that's the same as GL, but it's way better. It's way better because you can see what's going on and you can control what you use. And, you know, if somebody has an idea about how it can work better, they can make their own version. And if you have your own idea about how it can work better, you can make your own version. You can't modify OpenGL. So like, OpenGL is bad in so many ways. And it's annoying that so many people are getting upset about it because it's terrible. Yeah. Will the language specifically uns complexity of its features? I don't know what that means. Specify, I think you specify the complexity, like in terms of big O notation? No. I don't think that's a useful part of C++ at all. What is the worst API I've ever used? Direct show. Do I recommend Goldwave? I don't know. I'm not a serious sound editing person, so I just use Goldwave for quick stuff. And I use it because it's the program that I happened to start using like 20 years ago or something. Thoughts on a switch type feature where in each case the same value has a different type? No, this is a statically typed language, so such a feature wouldn't make any sense. What is the best API that I've ever used? That I didn't make myself? I'm trying to remember. There definitely are APIs where I used them and thought, oh, this is really the right thing. I mean, DirectX 9 was pretty good. It has a few problems, but the baseline DirectX 8 and DirectX 9 were pretty good. There definitely have been other ones. I'm just not remembering what they were right now. I'll see if I can remember. We have our own source control server. Yeah, fixed function OpenGL was totally fine for its time. Yeah, Xinput API is pretty good, actually, as well. Yeah, fixed function OpenGL was fine. Actually, the Xinput API was mostly good, except they screwed up this thing where implementation-wise, detecting if a gamepad was plugged in that hadn't been was very expensive for some stupid reason. And so you couldn't like do that every frame in your game. I don't know. That caused problems. STB libraries tend to have good APIs, yes. You don't, as a commercial company, you don't want to host your source code on like GitHub. That's stupid. Like, that's a bad idea for many reasons. What you mean is just something that looks at the type field in the struct and do a cast on a void pointer. Yeah, why? Like, why do you want to do that? Does the Windows COM stuff have its purpose? I don't think so. I think it's all dumb. You heard that RAD still uses fixed function pipeline. Do you know about any issues one would get? So the fixed function pipeline is officially deprecated, which means, for example, debuggers like RenderDoc no longer support fixed function pipeline. So OpenGL is already impossible to debug. So by itself, so if you don't get tools like RenderDoc, then it's even more impossible to debug. So I would not recommend that. Do I think Vulkan is going to take over DirectX and AAA games? I doubt it. What do you mean? What if I want to lose all my code when the third-party service goes down? Yeah. Among other things. All right. Let's think about getting started here and actually doing some work, because I put getting work done again. I'm kind of tired already after all those questions. Maybe this won't be a long stream today. I don't know. We'll see. So where we had left off yesterday, we had saved out Does anyone have opinions about a better way to get a save folder in Windows that doesn't put things in app data, roaming, whatever? Because the problem with this is this frickin' folder is hidden by default for users, which is stupid because you want them to be able to get their save games. So like, I think we use sh get save folder path for this. Is there like a better thing that we should be using in 2018? Anyway, so we saved out this save file, and here we go. It's a binary file. It's about 4K big for some reason. I was thinking about why, and I wonder if the first frame we end up recording a bunch of changes that we shouldn't. So it might be the first frame is bigger than it should be, but you know, we've got our type manifest information, and then we've got a bunch of entity save information. If you look in here, so this @ sign, that's a 0 byte in Emacs. So you'll see a lot of like 7 0 bytes in a row, or a non-0 byte and then 7 0 bytes in a row. That's all these 8-byte integers that we're saving, most of which probably don't need to be 8-byte integers, right? So this format probably could be a lot smaller than it is, but we don't care about that yet. You know, most of these zeros could probably be compressed out if we cared. So the file could really be like a quarter of the current size or less, even with all the same data. But we're going to get it working. So our next step is going to be just to be able to load the file. Documents My Games is classic. Some games put saves in documents. Yeah, do you guys know an official way to get the My Games folder? Or maybe we just put it in documents. Although someone says they get really pissed off when applications do that. Microsoft still recommends app data because they're dumb. Yeah, I think app data is stupid. I don't want to put things in app data. So the problem with just opening My Games is like, what if it's in a different language, right? And it's not called My Games. So like there must be an official API for getting what that string should be. sh get known folder path folder ID saved games. Is that actually a thing? Wow, it's a thing. Saved games. User profile saved games. Wow, is that... What level of Windows is this supported in? How do I... Oh, it's listed. Saved games. Introduced in Windows Vista. All right. Well, I don't think we're going to run on anything earlier than Windows Vista at this point, because we're 64-bit. So I think that's okay to use. And why is there saved games versus games? Folder type virtual. I don't know what that means. Deprecated in Windows 10. All right, well, we can't use that. Okay, I'm going to put this on the list because I don't like things going in app data. So I'm putting on the list folder ID. Saved games. But we won't do that yet. We will first be able to load our file. Well, this game is going to use your saved games folder. It's going to be great. Okay. So well, wow, these print statements. Code from before we had logging. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we have this serialize. That's what we called yesterday. And it saves out all our undo actions. I'm going to hope that the corresponding load code that I wrote a long time ago still works. If it doesn't, all right. So that would be from campaign as well, right? So here we were calling save type manifest. We put the undo records count, and then we save all the records, right? So here, when I say put with undo records.count, this is putting a 64-bit integer for, in fact, an integer that is probably a lot smaller than 64 bits. And that's doing this kind of a thing is where all those 0 bytes come from, but it means that we don't have to think that hard about how big things should be yet while we're getting things working. So do I have a load type manifest? Oh, I do. So there's two different kinds of situations. There's campaigns that are multiple levels in a row, in which case we probably need to save everything we're saving here, plus just an integer about which level we're on. And we should actually do that for everybody. So probably this if statement will turn into something else or sort of go away. Anyway, so we go here, we load the type manifest, and well, let's actually get rid of this if here. I'm going to put incomplete, deal with multi-level campaigns. I'm going to write that on my paper. Is there any good tutorial for this language? There isn't right now, sorry. We're working on it. The problem with storing save games in the game directory is you need to have permissions there, which may not happen. All right. So we're coming back here. All right, so we get the record count. We make new undo records. We get the serialized bytes. What? Oh, I see. We advance S by serialized bytes. So T points to what we're going to unserialize. Well, let's not try to play the events forward. So we're just going to try to load the data here, and who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? If we're going to be able to do that. Probably we won't. Probably there'll be some initial problem. Once we finish that, we want to see this. Once we see that and it seems reasonable, then we can try this. So when we saved our save games, we didn't save the states of all the entities at the end, which we could do, but we should be able to load all the undo state and then play back all the changes to all the entities and get to wherever you were at the end of the game. Now, eventually, if you've been playing a level for a really long time and have lots of events, that might make loading really slow and memory spammy. So as an optimization, eventually, we may also make it so that we save redundantly whatever the states of the entities were at the end of the thing. However, it is not strictly necessary for a working system to do that. Let's see how this goes. Well, it compiled. Oh, okay, we need a command to load this. So this is load campaign for game mode. I doubt anyone is calling that, unless they're in this file. Nope. Okay, so let's go to our commands. Remember, we did this save command. I want to make a load command. I need the level set. How do I get the current level set? Or I could just change this argument, because what I really want, what I really want here is the campaign state. So I'm going to say where was that? 194. Oh, because we don't need that anymore. All right, what's going to happen? Oh, well, let's see. So I go here, I say load. Oh, did I leave a name in it? Do I have multiple? Why does it think it requires one argument? I must have two commands called load. Yeah, in the editor, Ignacio added a command in the editor called load. We should detect multiple commands with the same name. Because that could be very confusing. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to call it game load. Well, oh wait, I pasted the thing. Oh wait, okay. I was not in the campaign where we had saved anything, and I don't print anything. I don't print the return value, so we should do that. All right, game load. Failed to copy 166 bytes. Yeah, so there is a problem. That's not too surprising. Let's make a debug build. So that was in wait, if s.count is not equal to serialized bytes, I don't think that check is correct anymore. Wait, that doesn't make sense. This should be if it's less than. That should be if there's not enough data. It shouldn't have to be exactly equal because we've got more things. Okay, okay, so first of all, let me start on this. Let's start on skipping stones every time to save. Level skipping stones. That'll help us. So game load. Success, loaded 23 records. What a fix. All right. You know, I wrote this code at the very beginning of development of this game, and it still works mostly, so that's great. Let's try play undo events forward. Does that still exist? It's probably an undo, yeah. All right, let's try it. See what happens. Game load. Wow, there we go. And let's undo this stuff that we saved a long time ago. Oh, it crashed eventually. It kind of worked, though. All right. So let's do a debug build. And I'm going to run that, and I'm going to save a longer thing. Yeah, that was Mass Effect Andromeda quality right there. We can ship that. Spoilers. Okay, so save. I believe that's saved, right? Let's verify. 9:54 a.m. 12 kilobytes. I don't like how big that file is, but we'll worry about that later. Okay, I'm going to exit. I'm going to restart. I'm going to game load. And we're here. Huh. Definitely crashes. Oh, it wasn't running from the debugger. Whoops. Did I? Yeah, I didn't recompile. Set mesh. It's trying to set a mesh on an entity. Game load. Dun, 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 dun. All right. What is mesh? It's probably null. No, it's uninitialized. We might be accidentally saving the pointer for the mesh out to the save file. In fact, I can almost guarantee that's what's happening. So instead of saving the mesh name, we are saving the pointer to the mesh, and that is bad news. That happens to work when we're doing undos during the game because the pointer stays the same. So the question is, why are we putting a mesh in undo in the first place? And I guess the answer is because in the constructor of the thing, yeah, I mean, okay, so the default value doesn't have the mesh, so we need to save it. Okay. This is pretty good so far. I'm actually going to check this in because this won't crash anybody unless they run these commands. And then we're going to change when meshes get serialized to write out the name of the mesh instead of the pointer. Why does the beach level have that fog clear effect when it starts? It's not the only one that has that. It's just that that game mode, so that game mode, wait, where are we? Where are we? This game mode, it has a map that you can go to, and you know, you sort of reveal areas of the map as you travel around, and you can't see places that you haven't been to yet. So that's what's going on there, right? So if I go to this next screen, actually, game load. Did I misspell it? Game load. There we go. So here I've gone a couple more screens and you see it's revealed here. I forgot. So when we load a game, right now we're not resetting the level state. Well, I'll do that a different time. Okay. You know, before we do that, so I'm going to put on the list mesh pointer issue. Before we do that, let's do a couple of these smaller things because I don't want to leave a bunch of little issues. So let's do the folder ID save game thing that we were talking about. All right, so okay. So I have to find, do we call it get save folder? Yeah, okay. OS Windows, get save folder. So right now we use sh get folder path W for app data. And instead we want to say, what procedure do we call for this? sh get known folder path. Like, why is that different from sh get folder path? Like, why do they have a separate? I'm going to have to look at this. Flags, known folder flag values, force app data redirection, or force package redirection. Dude, I don't want to read through all this. Called from a packaged app. That's some UWP bullshit, so we're not going to care about that. Like, they ruined all their APIs with all this UWP crap. They have app container, desktop bridge, and packaged already in the first 3 items, which is way too many things. This is what I'm saying. Just like, make an operating system that has security already in it, and you won't have any of these problems. Look at how complicated everybody's making life for themselves. All right, we'll use kf flag create. We're going to have to declare these things because we probably don't. Whatever, dude, this is too complicated and annoying. All right. sh get known folder path W flags. What is the token? An access token. That's going to be null. And the path. Can't believe they're still making APIs that take strings of like max path. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Okay. So we're not going to know, I'm going to verify this, but I don't think we have declaration for this, or this, or this. And this is null, lower null. So we're going to have to add those to our Windows. Yeah, all right. It's not there. File windows. I don't know why that's there. But whatever, we'll refactor these later. Okay, we don't need this comment because we have a deprecated directive on here that tells people to use this, so we don't need that. Whoop. sh get known folder path w. I'm going to assume that's a 32. Handle token. Parameters are in the opposite order for no reason. All right. And then what did I just do? Oh. It's not in shell 32. It's in, no, it is in 32. What? sh get known. There is no W. It's actually, oh my God, they finally started to get reasonable. Oh my God, it's amazing. Okay. Folder ID saved games. I don't want to know what the GUID is. I want to know what the handle is. Is this only by GUID? What? Okay, hold on. I got it. I assumed that this was like a small integer handle, but what the? What the hell is a ref known folder ID? Do I have to actually make a fucking GUID for? Oh wow, this is more annoying than. Yeah, known folder ID is a GUID. All right. So we did do a thing that makes GUIDs somewhere. I just don't remember. All right. Okay. So I don't really want to go from a string. I could. Who else does good stuff? He seems to have been skipping this. Oh, he's doing all this at compile time. I guess. Like he's just putting the string GUIDs in there. God, there's so much stuff in D3, D11. Holy cow. Yeah. Okay. This whole thing, so he was trying to set these GUIDs here to global variables, which makes sense. We actually intentionally clear these out for historical reasons that may not be the right reasons anymore. So I want to have an email conversation with him about this, about what to do there. Because this actually would have worked if I wasn't intentionally resetting all of these. So, yeah. Okay. Folder ID. For now, I'm just going to do the following thing. Where were we? We're in OS Windows. And we'll, if we want to compact this, we will do that. But first, we want to just verify that we even know what's going on. Like what? This whole GUID thing is just so stupid. Why do you need a number bigger than the number of atoms in the galaxy to specify a folder out of? Like, why do you have so many folders in the first place? And then why can't you just use like a 16-bit integer for them anyway? It's so dumb. Why do you have to put them in a common namespace with every other thing that you're ever going to talk about? All right. So hopefully that's the right byte order for the GUID and stuff. Let's just see what happens. All right. Actually, let's not do game load. We'll just do this. Do this. Save. So now our old save file, whoops, I went past it. Our old save file, okay, it's still 9:54 a.m. Our new save file would be in C. Well, let's go to Documents. My Games, into the brief. Okay, that's not right. Well, oh, okay. So we got a messed up string. I should have checked that before I did all this. So either I screwed up the GUID or something else. Apparently it returned, it said that it succeeded though. Oh, people are saying it's somewhere else. It doesn't matter though, because it got it wrong. Let's find the right folder that people are talking about. Saved games. Okay. It didn't make it there anyway, but this is where it's supposed to end up, I guess. So why, like, this is what I'm talking about, that this is, it seems to be a bad API. I mean, maybe I just typed in the interface wrong. That's always a possibility. But like, how did we not return failure, but return a spam string? Like, that's just not okay. That's the worst possible situation. Let's just print out what our GUID is, because I haven't ever used these GUID routines, so I just want to see it working. Well, is there like a print GUID? Because we want to print those in a more orderly way. Sorry, not print, Windows. All right, we'll just make one. What are the fields? I'm not going to try to abbreviate this for now. Data 3. Dot, like that. What? Oh, not format float. I've been thinking about floating point numbers the past couple of days. All right. So for whatever FF BB9D 43BO and then these. So that doesn't look right at all. Oh yeah, it does. 4C5 C32FF BB9D 43BO B5 B4 2D72 E5 4E AA A4. I'm getting a different spam string every time. The output argument is pointer to U16. What? Why are you telling me I should use sh get known folder path when that's what we're doing? Last argument type is wrong. It's a pointer to a pointer. Why is it a pointer to a pointer? How does that make any sense at all? It is a pointer to a pointer. Why? Contains the address of a pointer to a null. Oh my God. Okay. They don't let you fill in a pre-existing array. That's why when I said the thing about maxpath, instead of doing the sane version where you give it a buffer and a length, they insist on, oh my God. These people have no idea how to make APIs. This is a disaster. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out. I assumed that it would be a reasonable situation, but it totally isn't. All right. Defer. What the fuck is this called? Co-task mem free. Are you serious? I'm going to have to declare that. They just keep making things more complicated without making the operating system any more powerful. They just keep adding crap. It's in OLE 32. So now my program needs to link against OLE 32 because I want to get a path. This is what I'm talking about software being insane. Just npm install OLE 32, yeah. Oh my God, this gives me hives. Okay, well, this is why we need to just burn it down and start over, man. Oh, what's even an appropriate word here? I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. It's almost like they're open source programmers. Oh yeah. We don't need this. We don't need that. And sorry, we're freeing the wrong thing. You could probably get the path directly from the registry. Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, let me just do a couple moves and do a save. Hey, look, it's there. I would be happy if this was a reasonable API. So when people are saying, what's the best API you ever used, when they're asking that question, it's not this one. It is not this one. All right. You're confused by my use of UTF-8 string when the result you want is UTF-16. I don't want UTF-16 because UTF-16 is stupid, right? It's not an encoding that anyone should ever use. We have to use UTF-16 because that is the format that Windows gives us its save data in, right? So so what we're doing here is we're getting this back, right? That's a GUID struct. We're calling this is putting a UTF-16 string into here, right? And then we're converting that to UTF-8 here. So path string is UTF-8. We want UTF-8 because that's a reasonable encoding that actually solves the problem. UTF-16 is dumb because it doesn't actually solve anything. What's the worst API I ever used? I already answered that. The answer is direct show, and it's not even close. Direct show was some serious summer intern action. Actually, maybe this is UCS2. I don't know the difference between UCS2 and UTF-16. So, did I play Detroit? No. All right, we're using folder ID saved games. Oh, I don't think I ever checked in before anyway. All right, let's check in. You want to know why your software runs slower all the time? It's because you have to load ole just to free memory returned to you by sh get known folder path, which is now the replacement for sh get folder path. It's like these people have no... I'm not going to say anything. Okay. All right. I have a note here, detect commands that use the same name. So in our meta program, well, I mean, so here's the thing is there's a cost to this. Either we pay n squared for searching the commands array every time, or we error at runtime. We really would rather error at compile time. It's just I kind of don't want to add an n squared thing at compile time. I'm not sure it's really worth a hash table. How many commands are you going to have? I don't know. I don't even know how many we have right now. It's quite likely that we might have 100. So that's 10,000 iterations of a loop. Which, I don't know. Now it's Ginger Bill. Hey, man. Is it possible to have a run directive that runs at the end of compilation that can do the check? That doesn't really help. That doesn't change any fundamental aspect of the situation. It's like either I add a data structure or I pay n squared. That's just the fact of the matter. It's just how it goes. Bubble sort. Yeah, we could sort them. Yeah, if you bubble sort or quick sort or any sort the array, then it's n log n, and then you just check consecutive entries to see if they have the same name. That's actually a good idea. Because it's so easy to sort things, I'm going to give that a try. That's a good idea. Thank you. It's probably not that slow in practice anyway. Well, the thing is, you got to remember that the compile time program is all running in bytecode, right? So it's slower than a native program would be. And I'm very touchy about compile times. Yeah, let's I mean, we should... Oh, hold on. I accidentally hit the wrong key in the wrong window and closed my Twitch chat. Gotta get it back. All right. All right, so we'll do that. That should be easy, assuming that it's even a little bit more annoying because commands to register. Oh, it's declarations. Okay. So we could go here. We can say quick sort commands to register and do we have a string compare? Compare strings, yeah. Compare strings x.name, y.name, right? So let's, okay, well, I wonder if that's a noticeable impact. 1.267, 1.261, 57, 261, 268, 258, not really. 24, okay, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe the CPU is getting warm. Okay, so check that we didn't try to declare the same command twice. We do this by sorting the commands and then looking for identical consecutive entries. Actually, the other reason it's good, sorting the commands is also good because well, it gives us more of a reproducible build since the order in which we get the commit, what do you call it? The containing information about the commands is somewhat arbitrary. Whatever, that's a good enough explanation, right? So if we always output them into the program in alphabetical order, then we'll get the same results between different compilations, right? So for 0, commands to register dot count minus 2. A if a.name is equal to b.name, we report error a.c0 error attempt to declare two commands with identical names. And then we'll say, I don't think I have a report info, so we'll say here, here is the other command with the same name. All right. So we can compile now, it's still just fine. But now let's go back to developer commands, and we'll call this load instead of game load. So now hopefully we will catch that. Error, attempt to declare two commands with identical names. Oh. Compiler report error exits the thing. Ignacio was going to change that anyway. Let me see if he did. Let me update the compiler, because Ignacio was going to change that API. Oh boy, look at all these changes. People are filing bugs. I'm so many bugs behind right now because I'm working on other stuff. All right, we got to recompile the compiler. All right. Recompiling the compiler. I hope somebody didn't mess it up. I haven't recompiled the compiler in a little while because I've been working on the game mostly, so yeah. All right. Attempt to declare two commands. Okay, it's still working. I guess that means he didn't change the API because we're still compiling with our old thing. Let me see. Maybe he just declared it. No. He didn't do this. Oh wait, he did. He just added some things down here. Okay. Report error. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to say, the problem is we don't have, like, source code location is a different struct, but whatever. Compiler info. And then, whoops. Look B. All right. And then This is weird because, well, I don't know. We don't actually want source code locations. We want full ranges. Okay, I'm going to have to write a big comment about this. All right. Two overloaded definitions of this procedure can't have identical argument lists. That's weird. That's a secondary error that's for some reason happening because of our first error. Wait, I thought did I delete my line that said error compilation stopped? I did. The brain needs breakfast. Brain needs breakfast. Compiler report error. A dot file name A dot L0 A dot C0 error compilation stopped due to erroneous command. So the reason we were getting that secondary error was because we weren't stopping here. So then we were making headers for these redundant commands. Yeah. Attempt to declare two commands with identical names. Here's the other command with the same name. So let's make sure these are right. So editor commands 501. Command load. Developer commands 119. It's in Sokoban. Command load. So there we go. These names don't actually exactly have to be the same, but right now the only way we declare a command is by looking at the name and chopping off the word command. So they're de facto the same right now, but later you could imagine that you could tag it with a note about what the command name should actually be or something, and then we would still catch that, right? So that's good. Okay, I wanted to add my note. However, Ignacio wanted those routines. It's convenient sometimes to pass a source code location, but I don't like this version of the API because it doesn't give you a full range of program text the way the error messages do in the main compiler. Just one endpoint. We could change them to take two source code locations, or maybe do something else. Let's figure this out. All right. So let's make sure I didn't. Oh, well, let's go back. There. Okay, that's good. We'll check in the compiler, add comments to compiler, and add support for get folder path stuff to file windows. Okay. So then we'll check in this and say we now detect commands attempted registration of commands that have the same names. Okay. That's good, not just for this project, but every game in the future will use that. So it's worth the time investment. So I kind of feel like maybe I want to get breakfast, but we still have this mesh serialization situation. So I'm not sure. It's rapidly lunchtime. Yeah, these are commands for the console and for key binding, right? So the way we run these commands is by, popping open this in-game console, or let's go to developer. Right in this key map, for some reason, which I'm not sure it's a good idea in the long term, but we have a difference between key map procedures and command procedures. And I guess it's good because the key map procedures get called on down and up, so they're a little different. But if you start with a colon here, it means run this command when the key is pressed down. So all of these are actually commands. And so I have my control P for save thing that I just did. Let's add control L, game. Is it load game or game load? I think it's load game. Yeah. I ate a little bit of snack when I started streaming, but I didn't have real food. Is there a parallel between writing new OS language and the territory of which Utopia is the capital? I don't get the reference right now, so I can't answer that. See, get off my lawns. Your error message is error twice. Oh, yeah, right, because compiler report error prefixes error. Okay. We're not even going to test that. Thank you for reminding me of that. Well, I don't remember every single city from Invisible Cities and what the name is and which city it is. So, I mean, I like the book, but I don't remember every single thing. Am I scared to go open source? Not scared exactly. I just don't want the hassle of open source right now because there seems to be a lot of drama and not a lot of productivity in the open source community, honestly. There was actually a study, it was linked on Hacker News or something, but basically for every open source project, there's a small handful of people who do 90% of the work, right? So yeah, is it worth dealing with the drama? Probably not. So, yeah. Needs a unit test, yeah. Yeah, well, so the other thing that makes me nervous about putting it open source is there's some weird effect where I get email from a lot of people who passive aggressively seem to want to get a copy of this language and then change something very minor about it and call it theirs, while not, really doing any real work. Like, there's a really weird psychological thing going on, right? Which is not like, if somebody is a legit programmer and they have differences of opinion about how things should work and want to invest a lot of time into making things work a different way and do the engineering, that's like one thing. But there's something really weird. I get a lot of email from people who, like, I almost want to say, like, want to get famous by taking something like this and putting their name on it. And that just really creeps me out. And I really don't want to support that. So I have to guard against that kind of thing too. Will we see less streams on Sokoban when we get closer to release? Maybe. It's possible. Are we doing the closed beta for some friends? Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. We've been in an intensive period of working on the game. Pretty soon I'm going to switch back to the compiler, and that'll be kind of a sprint toward closed beta time. That happens with a lot of projects. Oh, the creeper coming on and wanting to put their name on it. Yeah. Like, why should I even deal with that, right? All right, let's, I'm hungry, but which game? Your next major release is soon? I don't know what the release date is. We don't really know. What is my favorite breakfast spot in San Francisco? I don't know if I have one lately. And like, what qualifies as favorite? The problem with breakfast in San Francisco is all the places are so crowded that you can't just go get breakfast. And that instantly makes a place into somewhere that I don't like, because I don't want to stand in line, especially on a weekend, for an hour. Do I think what we're doing now is going to be as big of a risk as The Witness, or are they large enough for that not to happen again? Well, these are not as lengthy of projects as The Witness, so I don't think they'll be as financially risky, but we'll see. How can you learn about how we handle concurrency? We don't do anything special about concurrency yet. We just provide libraries for mutexes and threads. We will do something. I have something special about concurrency coming up soon, but we haven't said what it is. Can you get a fry up for breakfast? Bacon, sausages, beans, eggs, etc. I like that kind of thing. I don't know where I would go to get that right now. But yeah. Have I looked at how Pony works re type-based concurrency restrictions? Nope. No idea what even Pony is. I know what Pony Island is, but I don't know what Pony is. How did I learn rendering techniques? By sitting down and trying to make games that render. All right. Let's go back to our undo situation. And actually, it's probably in serialize, right? Because this is where diff Don't we have a thing called, we say slots differ. So the problem is probably that reflection.isPOD is probably returning true. This is something that Ignacio made, so I don't really know. Okay, that's for something different than what we want. All right. Okay, so if item.info.type, if it's a pointer, then so meshes might not be the only thing that we need to detect, right? We want to handle meshes especially because we know they're a catalog item. We know how to get the name of the mesh. And so we're going to want to do that. But I want to make sure the first thing I'm going to do is just put in a thing here that says tip.pointer2.type is equal to type info tag.struct, else here we have an error. Well, let's not assert. We'll make it a error. We'll say log print error unhandled pointer type, return false. And then if it's a struct, then there's probably a more robust way to do this than checking the name, but so let's see if we generate any errors. Unhandled struct pointer type. Oh, I could print the name. It might not actually be called mesh. Triangle mesh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have successfully detected so now we actually know the case that we need to handle. And actually, we're just going to do this for speed purposes. And let's not even memcomp. Let's, for speed, we'll say the syntax is ugly. We got to change that sometime. Okay. Okay, so we do that because if the meshes are the same, which is maybe the most common thing, we just do a pointer check. We don't call memcomp. I don't know. In reality, probably eventually this won't represent a procedure call. It'll be like a compiler intrinsic. So at that point, maybe it doesn't matter realistically in terms of speed, but whatevs. Free type stream. Okay. So we're going to invert this. We're going to say if it's equal to triangle mesh, then, well, put builder, if, oh geez. So we do that. And we want to put builder tis.name. Oh, not, not the name of the struct. Well, okay, mesh A is cast pointer to triangle mesh. We do this, and we can actually say, clean this up a bit. And we want to put the name before and after, right? Which is why we need both of those. Seems plausible. Except, of course, that one or the other pointer might be null. This is confusing. Whatever, we're just going to make names for the values and the pointers, even though we don't strictly need to do that. So and actually, I mean, these are confusing names because it's actually, what I'm calling mesh is actually a pointer to a triangle mesh anyway. No, you know what? We'll do it this way again. Sometimes I just confuse myself, especially when I don't eat. We don't need all these, right? So if copy B into A, that's fine. That's fine. And eventually it may come to pass that we have several pointer-based resources that we want to do this with. And if that happens, then we generalize that handling. That's weird. Oh. If statement. All right. Now what? We have to, so now we have a problem in that for meshes, we are saving the name, but when we apply diff, we're not. You know what I'm saying? We're not using the name. So we got to do this here. So it had better be a triangle mesh. So the save data is hosed because if we get something that claims to be a pointer to something that we don't know how to handle, we don't even know how much information to remove from the save data, which means nobody else will be able to continue, and we don't return failure from this right now. All right. So we're going to make it handled. And, well, what do we do for strings? We say get we get two strings. And then we have to look up the mesh and assign the mesh to string B. Wow, we need to also why do we have this? Oh wait, apply forward. Oh. Right. We only do one name here in apply one field. Okay. We have a thing called mesh catalog. Yeah. So we can look up a mesh this way, and we say mesh is find in mesh catalog name. If that fails, that'll print out an error message. And then we say slot is metadata slots. Wait, dest. Dest is the metadata slot. So cast triangle mesh, dest is mesh. There we go. So that's apply one field. For discard one field, we need to do that as well. For discard one field, we'll do the following. So we don't need all this stuff. Oh wait, does get of a string allocate the string? Yes, so we need to free that. Whoops, name, not S. All right. Who knows if that's going to work? I assign the probability 5.13%. I don't know in which cases the mesh changes exactly. Okay, well, we rolled our die and we didn't get 5.93 or 5.13. Serialize 496. Yeah, so we're like reading the wrong amount of data out of the diff, which is bad mojo. Which would involve this thing that we just did. Why are people calling me on the phone when I don't want to be called on the phone? All right, so we're applying backward. So I'm going to set breakpoints here. Well, we'll set breakpoints in both places just to make sure that what is happening is reasonable. So that's the wrong compiler. We want this one. Apply one field. Pointer. Oh boy, this, we might hit this every time we diff. No, I guess not. Well, now I'm worried, actually. I'm worried that we didn't hit all cases of that. Put a breakpoint in the discard one field also. Okay. So I'm going to undo. Yeah, we didn't. Calling applied diff. List index has extra bytes. It's the letter G. Which means we read the wrong amount of data somehow. Probably on the previous thing. Right, so this action all right, we only have 4, so this action is this one, because that's the only creation or destruction. All right, so it's when we stepped onto, okay, I want to figure out exactly what undo I can triggers this. So none of that. It's for some reason when I step on the lily pad. Like, why would that be? Maybe it's undoing the checkpoint. No. See, if I could figure out exactly what event I'm undoing. Then I can like know exactly when to start tracing. Or I can, you know what, I can just, here's the thing. Let's just look at the data, man. So here's an undo action. We've got an entity change. It's got a diff. I mean, this might be annoying, but okay, I don't. If this contains mesh data, I don't see it because there should be a string name in there. I see maybe account. Remember, we're writing 8 bytes, but then there's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So maybe the mesh name is null. Okay, I'm confused. God damn it. I need to write a linter that checks for that. So that was wrong. That wouldn't cause the problem that we are seeing, however. You really enjoyed Braid. You played it when it came out, and it completely changed your view of what side-scrolling games could be. I'm glad you liked the game. We worked very hard on that game, so it's good. It's good to hear that people like it. How often do you find yourself reinventing the wheel? I have a whole rant about reinventing the wheel, about that phrase that I'm sure somebody can link you to. What do I say to a criticism that posits this does not advance the programming language state of the art, i.e. it doesn't have new advanced features? I would say that person doesn't know what they're talking about. It has plenty of new advanced features, actually. Did I see that Braid article on Hacker News? Nope. Okay. So we fixed that dumb screw up. Well, let's just run it again, and we're still going to get the same problem. But when I look at the data, maybe I will see mesh names now. And also, I feel like it might be changing an existing entity ID, in which case I could select that in the editor and just see what it is. Ah, okay. Well, that was not bad. Okay. So again, it's still 38 bytes. Maybe we're not even hitting that code. Okay, so let's look at this in hex. Five, 4, 1. It's a rock. So maybe we're, when this rock goes out of bounds, we're clearing the mesh name or something. Like, we shouldn't be doing that, but it's a valid thing. Like, the gameplay code could be doing something like that. So like, let's make sure when we save. So I don't see us saving those strings right now. So oh God. Okay, here's the problem. We do this if it's pointer, but then we don't return true here. So we fall through and we add more data because pointer is also POD. So that's the problem. Or it may not be the only problem, but it's certainly a problem. Let's run this in the debugger just in case. Oops. I actually kind of want to know why that mesh is changing, because that's not really a legit reason. All right, we still crashed. Um, same reason. Yeah, so we're still not getting it right. Well, let's just step through, let's just see what happens in that case. Oh, actually, let's go back to this. It's still 38 bytes. Nothing changed. Okay, wait, we had a breakpoint here and we didn't hit it. Which is confusing me. Right, we should have hit that breakpoint if ever we stored something of type pointer. Oh wait, that's apply one field. Which also is disturbing that we didn't hit that breakpoint. But let's do this one, right? We want a breakpoint here. Well, we get one at startup. Let's just make sure we're doing something reasonable. Name A, empty string, name B is editor UI camera. Let's just skip past all the startup stuff. We shouldn't actually be doing this. Like what we're doing right now is recording the names of all the constructed things. I don't know. Maybe that's an artifact of how our code is going and it's not actually going into the save game data. We have to look at that. Okay, when the stone is like getting destroyed or something. Wait, what? Why is that? Oh, because we're diffing it from the default value. Because when it gets destroyed, we need to know what to turn it back to. So this is correct, right? The name on the default value is null. The name on the one that we're destroying is this. And so we do need to record that to be correct. Right? So right, we're not copying in this case. Builder okay. So my theory is that the next undo that I perform, basically it's you wait for that stone to get destroyed, and then if you do an undo, you get hosed. So we're gonna put a breakpoint here, and we're gonna say undo. We hit that breakpoint. We look at our actions. There's 2. Oh, there's no destroy. Okay, this actually won't be a problem. Oh, right. We're really doing 2 undos. This one has the, yeah. This one has the destruction. So the way this works is we run this from right to left. So we do this. I'm printing 4. Let me only print 3 because there's 3. The fourth one was invalid. So what's going to happen is we're doing an undo. So we're going to go from the back to the front. And this first one I don't think we care about. It's this one, right? So we're going to loop, or maybe this is one that we care about. Oh, this is the one that desyncs for some reason. Right, before I was looking at this, assuming that the error is caused this way, but it's this one. I don't know. Okay. This is an entity change. We apply diff on it. How many fields? Oh no, we don't use that here. So what's our metadata item? It is the x component of a vector. This is going to be tedious. Let's go back here. This is also the x component of a vector. This is a lot of debugging time for something that's going to be stupid. All right. This is the y component, bounding radius, x component, y component, z component, use override color, x of a vector 4, y of a vector 4, z of a vector 4, x of a vector 3. So I didn't see anything bad there, which means this crash may have nothing to do with the mesh handling at all. Or if it does, like I changed inadvertently something that isn't related to the mesh handling. Okay, wait. These things are packetized enough. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold your horses. Are we still on the same thing? No. So I was not thinking very clearly. So the thing is, these undo actions are already separated from each other in the buffer. So what I was doing, I was using years of programming experience and saying, oh, if the data goes out of sync, it must be because when we were reading the one before the one we care about, it didn't read enough bytes. That can't actually be the problem, because we already at a level above this have separated it into separate things. So now there's a dumb metaprogramming argument happening in chat. Yeah. Okay. So really what I could do, so really the problem is I probably either broke something to do with entity destruction, or maybe there's just something about entity destruction on this level that hasn't worked for a little bit and we just never really noticed it. So we're going to stop thinking about the mesh pointers at all. I'm going to kick this guy off, wait for him to destruct, do an undo, and then I'm going to go for the next undo action. We actually don't need these breakpoints. Okay. So this is undo action index 1. Oh wait, it's a change? Wait, I is 1. Oh, we have 4 this time. So we don't need this. We go to the next one. This is the one that's going to die. This is the creation or destruction, right? So, and we just messed something up here. That's all it is. Right, so action is this guy. Creation field. It's a destruction. You know what we do? Oh God. Okay. No, it's very simple. It's very simple. We have to put the list in item index anytime we save a change, and we didn't do it here. That's all. Okay. That's all. That's all. We just spent like an hour on that. That's what happens when you need to eat and you don't go eat and you instead keep programming. Hey, look, I undid it. Hey, look, I undid it. Okay, so we're resetting. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. Now, that doesn't preclude that there might be other problems. That's just that problem, right? All right. Save. You can't see that, but I typed save under here. Let's just undo all this and hope it's okay. Hey, look, we undid back to the beginning. Game load. Load game. Hey, look, we loaded our thing. Let's undo back to the beginning. Hey, that's good. Let's run again. Load game. Hey, look. Let's go again. Load game. Let's play some more. Oops. I'm unstoppable at this game, bro. I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. I might have screwed up. I think I just push it this way. Yeah. So many spoilers, people. All right, save. Close the game, restart. Load game. Hey, look. Oh, we're not saving which areas have been revealed. We're going to have to do that. All right, undo. All the way back. Lots of camera zigzags. Undo, undo, undo. All right. It's pretty good. That's what we've been doing this whole time, is making the save file save the undos. That's been the whole point of this entire exercise. Can you add some code to offset the game window so when it loads it doesn't start under your taskbar? Yes, that is on my to-do list. It is completely stupid that Windows requires you to do that. Like, look, the frickin' taskbar is there. Just put the window next to it. But no. So we'll do that. I mean, maybe we don't have the auto place window flag correctly set. Maybe it would put it if we set that. But anyway, fixing that is on the list. When do you think we can get that done? Now-ish? Maybe. I was going to declare victory and go off and eat breakfast. But maybe we do that just to get it off the list. I think we are going to want to yeah, see, that's like 36 KB for that save game, which is that's just too big. We're going to want to shrink that down. I don't really know what all this is. So we're going to want to audit that. It's only 200 lines. But like I said, the first step was to make it work. So we have done that. We still have to go in and make the multi-level campaigns work. which should be easy. Yeah. Why are people calling me? Stop. Actually, I kind of want to do the window thing now. I wrote down on my to-do list somewhere what the API call is for that, except I don't think I copied that correctly, so I don't think I have the information anymore. No. There's the item. So there's something like get client active area, something. Get desktop active area. No, I don't want to choose the settings that are right for me. I don't know. Windows automatic window placement, avoid taskbar. This is not going to be possible to find. Why do windows open behind the taskbar? What do I think about Go erroring for unused variables? I think that's stupid. It's terrible. It's like people who have no concept of shipping software. Get the height of the Windows taskbar. How can I calculate the SPI get work area to get the available screen size, excluding the taskbar? That's a struct. So what do you mean with what's the actual thing? Is it get system metrics? Watch this be in like Ole 5. It's in user 32. All right, get system metrics. That's not what I want. What takes this system parameters info? Oh wait, that's a procedure, not a struct. I am so hungry right now. My brain is not seeing that this is a procedure. I guess I assumed it was a struct because of the word info. Okay. All right. SPI get work area. Choose the size of the work area. The work area is a portion of the screen not obscured by the system taskbar. pointer to a rect that receives the coordinates of the work area. All right, so where do we create our darn window? I don't think it's here. Do we... do we call this? Probably. Do we define it ourselves or no? Okay. So, okay. We're gonna system parameters info zero pointer to work area fwin ini. The hell is fwin ini? If a system parameter, no. Okay. So I doubt that I have system parameters info. Nope. I don't. So I also don't have SPI get work area. Oh, X30. System parameters info is I think I declared bool. Oh. Foreign. Which library is it in again? User 32. Yeah. Don't tell me there's a frickin' W. All right. Come on. This is why I hate like incremental frickin' anything. Like why is this even, I don't even understand why the linker is paying attention to the old PDB. See, my compilation failed because linkers are dumb. All right. Run. Hey, it didn't do anything. Okay. Work area success true. Work area left 140. So we're getting the right info. Oh wait, this is the wrong rect. Wait, is it? We're not using this rect at all. We're setting up this. Wait, adjust window rect. What does that do? Yeah, we're not using it. Oh, we're just using it for the client width and client height. All right, create window X. X and Y are arguments 5 and 6. So we're not going to do this. This is the client rect. We're just going to ignore that. We're just going to have these. And if work area, well, success X equals dot left window work area dot top. Hey, look, we avoided the taskbar by a little too much for some reason. Like it's by more than the width of the window, so it's not a client area problem. Look, it's just like too far. Thanks, Windows. You might just be able to pass CWU's default as the 5th and 6th arguments to create window X. Yeah, I was thinking that there is some flag for this, but let's try that now that we've done all this. Right? Dude, I'm so hungry I don't even remember typing this right now. So CWU's default. It's because the window border, the one you grabbed to resize, is invisible in Windows 10, so it looks wrong but is correct. Yeah. Thanks, Windows. So CWU's default is. Do we put that in the Y slot as well? Yeah. All right. Is that the right number of zeros? I hope you're telling me the right number. Whoa! Okay, I don't like that at all. Okay, so it kind of picks a random place every time. Like it's gonna cursor it from the upper left to the lower right. Yeah, I don't like that. That is That is not how we do things downtown, but it was a good try. So we're going to do this. Did I do anything in the, oh yeah. And then what's in Sokoban? What was in serialize? Oh, comment. Whoa, I never, okay. What's going on there? How did I not check that in? I'm confused. Okay, so we get to check off that item on my long-term list about avoiding the taskbar. Now when we stream in the future and I type commands, you'll be able to see the commands. That'll be good. Will it now also avoid taskbar on top? Yes, it should. Is that a thing we can do? Does taskbar even go on the top? Can I like, yeah, all right, let's try this. Hey, look, we're below the taskbar. I don't know why anyone would ever put their taskbar on top. But there you go. It's the worst place to put it. Like, you need vertical real estate. Put it on the left. Does the game freeze when you resize the window? I don't think we update the window during resizes. So like, oh, right now it's extra annoying because we turn off the mouse pointer when we're in the window, which I guess we have to change. Yeah, so we don't redraw during a resize right now because that's a disaster in Windows anyway. We could at some point, but like, it's probably not regular expected usage for people to resize in windowed mode. I do want to make it better. I do want to make the cursor visible so you can actually see what the hell you're doing. But, you know, probably people run in full screen anyway, 99.999. I don't know why we're control G'ing when we go full screen, by the way. I need to figure out what's going on there because that noise drives me bananas. Anyway. So what was I going to write down? I was going to write down, what did I even just say? This is what happens when I stream without food. It is a topmost borderless window. Yeah, we don't go full screen mode switching style full screen anymore because it's such a disaster. It just doesn't work on Windows, and it works even more poorly with every new version of Windows, and it's never going to work. And you dramatically increase your support costs, and you also, even if the Windows part worked, you would still have weird stuff like people's monitors that are set to non-aspect preserving display stretch on full screen, which is awful. So we just don't do it. So GPUs are fast enough now that you don't really need that. I have been intermittent fasting. That's what I've been doing this morning, apparently, because I didn't get breakfast before the stream. Okay, I'm going to put on the list because it's driving me nuts. Control G when full screen. Or whatever is happening there. Like, why is it playing a sound? Is that a new Windows thing? Or is that our program is causing that in some way? I don't know. Save game size audit, making save games work on multi-level campaigns. And we want to make it auto load campaign at startup. So that'll be a good stream. Am I alt entering? Yes. It's true. To-do lists do only ever get longer. That's how it goes. Some BS and WM key. Isn't there some weird issues with monitor greater than 60 hertz between full screen versus borderless? I don't know. What kind of weird issues do you mean? Why would there be weird issues? Like, definitely you have to use the refresh rate of the desktop, but that should be fine. Non-full screen, won't that be a problem when some app like antivirus wants to notify you and it doesn't know you're playing a game? Look, you shouldn't. So first of all, like almost no programs these days use full screen mode. If you're watching a movie in frickin' VLC, I mean, I wonder if that has a way. It probably tells the screensaver not to turn on in some way. I don't know. But it's not using exclusive full screen to do that. So like your thing that you're saying applies to all these situations. Just don't run crap that pops up notifications. How about that? I don't want notifications under any situation. So don't do it. You're guessing pressing tab gives the system. I'm not pressing tab. I'm pressing alt enter. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we have to figure out what's going on there. It's a plausible explanation. Do you consider other aspect ratios in 16:9 usable? Yeah. Everything used to be 4:3, and that was better in a lot of ways. In terms of the percentage of your pixels that are... Look at all these pixels that I'm not using. I mean, you know, I sort of compensate for that by doing this, but this isn't quite wide enough to really do two programs side by side. So, yeah, 16:9 is kind of this no man's land that's not that good for anything. Very high-end, large-scale games require true full screen. No, they don't. Nobody ships full screen anymore, except if they like... Yeah, nobody does. I mean, you can certainly come up with examples of games that do, but saying that AAA games do generally is not true. And saying that they require it because they're big games is not true. They're doing it that way just because historically that's how they did it. There's nothing else than that. Doesn't exclusive full screen improve frame rate stuttering? No, why would it? And does it improve that more than it causes other problems? Follow mod makes stuff displayed in first, window flow into second. Wait, what? I don't want that. Why would I want that? if you're not using true full screen, does that mean that the window no longer gets minimized when tabbing out? No, I mean, there's all sorts of window flags that you set to control behavior. So like if you're like a topmost window or something and someone alt tabs, I think you do get automatically minimized. I don't remember. I am wasting away to nothing. It's really bad. There are Unity games which can be unplayable due to input delay without forcing exclusive full screen. But that's a different problem. That's just like they're using 27 buffering or something. Like if you buffer too many frames going to the output, then yes, that's a problem. So that's a problem with the engine or with the games. Yeah, I don't need 2 times window height. My window height, oh, you mean as a way of getting around 16 by 9. That's fine, but then yeah. It's too much window height at that point. And then it's kind of a waste. Is Ginger Bill hinting that he wants me to send everybody over there? I guess we could do that so we don't have to figure out who to raid. How many lines of code are the compiler in Sokoban? They haven't, the Sokoban's getting bigger, compiler hasn't changed much. So, you know, compiler's in the 42,000 zone. Game is, well, this is what we report. It's unclear to what degree right now this includes duplicate files or something. I need to audit that. Because this, I kind of don't feel like it's actually 84,000 lines now that I think about it, but that's what the parser is saying that we process. So I'm not sure. This probably counts some things twice. Like, you know, we import print in the meta program and the main program. So that's being compiled twice and everything it uses. But that might not be more than like 5,000 lines. Maybe it is. I don't know. So I want to do more of a study of this. But this also is a different measure than this because this is no blank lines or comments, and this is with blank lines and comments. So, you know, if you add these, right, so this is blank and comment. So if you add another 20,000, this is like 62, 64, which is closer. Do I know zone mode? No, I don't. Reduce display latency on windowed games. Okay, that's interesting. All right, thanks everybody for coming by. We'll host Ginger Bill because he seems to want that. And thanks for visiting. And next time we have a bunch of little tasks to do. See you later.